So this person went to the Am I the A-hole subreddit to ask this question. Am I the a-hole for wanting my work vacation for myself? Okay, so this person says, recently I made the mistake of taking time off work, expecting to recharge a little as I was burnt out. I have a little baby at home, and if I thought I'll have some time to read something, chill, play games, or some other hobby, I was wrong. I'm an introvert, and I highly need my time alone. The problem with taking time off work when you have a family is that since you don't work, you have free time, right? It means you can do more things in the house, help with kids, etc. What happened is I could not even have my coffee in peace in the morning, but I could do it while working. I'm even more burnt out taking time off work than being at work. It's crazy. I think when the main provider of the house takes time off, it's his own time that he earned, which means that his working hours should be seen as always been do not interrupt time. So as I'm reading his paragraphs, they're a little jumbled, but we're getting the main point. He says here, and this is the gist of it, when my wife wants some time off from the kids, she can ask my in-laws or her mother to come and help. When I want time off work, I can't ask my in-laws to replace me at work, which means the only time I can take off is never. That's why I think if the main provider takes vacation from work, it should be his own time. Am I the a-hole for saying that when I take time off work, it's my time? I was tagged in this post, and when I first started reading it, I didn't realize that this was a husband taking time off. So he is the main provider. He's taking time off work. He has kids at home, and he's like, he needs to be able to go off and do his own thing. So the fact that he has a little baby and he mentioned kids, so that means that there are kids, plural. He needs to take some time off, even though he gets away from the household. But if his wife is at home and consistently the one with the children, that means that she does not really get any breaks or vacations. He was getting it. He was definitely getting it in the comments because yes, sir, you are the a-hole. Like, when do you take the time to participate with the kids and do the things, the night shifts, to making sure that your wife gets away? When do you do all of this? You're away doing your provider thing. Yes, you get to go away, but that is what you're supposed to do when you have a family. And also, you would be going away and doing work stuff even if you didn't have a family. But when you decide to create a family with somebody, you should be participating with it, but you get to take a break from your work and still think that you don't get to check in and make sure your wife is taken care of as well. This is kind of a mess, but let's see what the comment section looks like. Dry Response says, first I was shocked because it felt completely alien, as in another species, for a woman to post that title. Then I understood it's a guy. You're the a-hole. You're the average entitled male. Just because you work and wife is a stay-at-home mom doesn't mean her time is worth any less. She doesn't get to clock off. She doesn't get vacations. Also, what are you doing every day to contribute to the household? I mean, doing dishes, parenting, etc. Your wife probably does a lot of unpaid labor that doesn't even compute in your head. Managing the household, keeping up with the laundry, cooking, cleaning, maintenance, groceries, paying bills, and also being on top of the entire family's schedule, taking kids to appointments, school, other activities, knowing doctors and teachers and friends' names, caring when they're sick, planning social gatherings for the family and kids, remembering to buy people gifts when the occasion calls for that, decorating for holidays, answering invitations, etc. And then she tagged me in, and I'm like, yo, wow. This, and like she said, the entitlement, it's wild because his hobbies are important, but that's the reason why they get a wife to stay at home and do all of these things so that they can have the free time and energy to go do their own thing. It's a pretty decent investment, I would say. Let's look at some more comments. No assignment says you're the a-hole. You are a parent. You don't get to just say, I'm not going to be a parent because I'm taking days off work. Your kid or kids are as much your responsibility as they are your wife's. If you want to arrange for both of you and your wife to have time off from the kids by arranging childcare, go for it. But thinking that you get to brush off your family responsibilities because you want me time while your wife handles the kids is just beyond the pale. And so here's the man chiming in. And so now we see he's a man. He says, it's my time that I took off work. I'm the main provider and work full time. What you say is that I can't take any more time for myself at all? Oh, okay. So then this person at the bottom says, yes, it's called being a parent. That's a 24/7, 365 day a year job for your wife and therefore for you as well. This isn't 1925. You don't get to opt in and out of parenthood just because you work. Latter Republic says, he sounds much more like a child than a parent. That's my time. Pout. And then Rewolfaton says, a teenager, then with an overinflated ego. I've lost count of how many number of times he's typed main provider. Ew. And so here's the OP again saying, well, when I take time off, my wife have free time because I'm free, right? So this is a 24/7, 365 applies only for the father, as it seems. What? So if his wife gets a break, that means what? I don't know what this even means. Rewolfaton says, are you telling me that during this break of yours, you were doing everything and she just didn't do anything the entire time you were off work? She just disappeared, then reappeared when you went back to work? Or did she have to tell you what to do? Did she have to teach you how to change a nappy, for instance, or is that the dishes needed to be done, or that the bathroom was filthy, or the bedding needed to be changed? And he says, no, I'm always doing a lot in the house, even when I work full time. It's just that when I'm home, she can give me the child more and go chill. She can give me the child more and chill. Y'all, let the birth rate needs to plummet to hell. Impossible Reason says, you're the a-hole. You were faced with the fact that your wife's job is more demanding than yours, and you made it about you. SQ Madrill says, you're the a-hole. You chose to have a family so you don't get a vacation from parental or spousal responsibility. You say your wife can get a break by pawning the kids off on family and friends, but those people didn't decide to have a family with your wife. You did. So when you have time off, you are the correct person to take on the needs of your family. If this doesn't work for you, then you and your wife need to come to some other arrangements like paid childcare so you can both enjoy your vacation time. The nerve, just reading that and then realizing that it was a man that wrote that, it really just kind of like, boom, like, what? He's talking about my wife gave me the kid. Oh, the kid. Okay. So these are the people that women are supposed to have babies with, y'all. Join the conversation. Let me know what you think. Do you think that this person is the a-hole because of this? Or do you think this person should be able to, take off work and take a break from the house life as well? Chime in with your thoughts. I was tagged in this Threads post from an account called Secret Stories Daily. This post is titled, He Thinks He's a Deadbeat Dad, but There Is No Baby. Okay, I am intrigued. All right, it says, my ex tried to get me pregnant without consent, then ghosted. I told him I was pregnant and that later I'd had his child. He blocked me, then unblocks me every few months to taunt me about his kid. There is no kid. He believes it. He brags. I let him. His child is my revenge. He'll never know. For him, it's a flex. He imagines escaping responsibility and feels smug, so I never correct him. Watching him get joy from a fantasy he created, priceless. After what he did, letting him live in that lie feels like the only justice I get to keep. As I'm reading this story, this does not particularly feel like a win for this woman. He has one. He gets to escape responsibility, even if it's a fake responsibility. So he's not being punished or anything. He's not really feeling any kind of consequences for this fake kid. And so I really don't know how this is revenge, but this post had other people talking. So that's the reason why I wanted to do this post. I'm doing these posts and these comments so we could talk about coercion and reproductive abuse as well. I talk a lot about let the birth rate plummet to hell, but we also need to talk about what happens if you get pregnant or the lead up to getting pregnant. Some of these people are quite diabolical and women's rights are being stripped left and right. So let's look at some of these comments. Regular Link says, my ex forced me to get pregnant, and then when I followed through with the termination, he made me send him proof that I had gotten it and wasn't trying to scam him out of money. And then when he paid me for his half of it, reminded me every day that I was a schmurderer. And because of me, he only gets to be the father to one child, ruining his life and his daughter's life by taking away their opportunity to have a bigger family. Insane behavior. Men are so crazy. So this dude forced her to get pregnant. That to me sounds like either stealthing or rape. And then he's like, you need to terminate it. You need to send me proof. And then now he's actually shaming her or pointing fingers and calling her a schmurderer. Yes, like she said, this is definitely insane behavior. But the logical ones, the logical leaders and all of that. Thrifted at the bottom says, you did the best thing for that child by terminating them so that he is not a parent to more children. I'm so sorry you are in that situation. I'm proud of you for protecting yourself. Okay, so Beautiful Dreamer says, child, my ex baby fished some girl into having his kid. Baby fished. I mean, I know catfished, but what is baby fished? Told her that marriage and children went hand in hand, except he and I were still married. He tried to ghost her after she told him she was pregnant. Yes, diabolical. Ligi Bella says, absolutely psychotic. I'm so sorry that you had to deal with that, but I'm grateful that you didn't end up having to share a child with that loser. Also, tell him you're getting a lawyer to take him to court for child support so he can block you forever. Siege Jellybean says, I was on birth control and my ex still tried to get me pregnant without my consent almost every day because if you get pregnant, you can't leave. You have to stay here for the baby. I was at a hospital where they did a test. He tried to gaslight me that I was pregnant. I asked the nurse and she said it was negative. I let out the biggest thank God. And he said, you seem a little too happy about that. I said, I will not carry any bastard child of yours. And if I was, I'm terminating it. You won't trap me. This is such an important comment. Just Jamie says, I believe for a long time that my ex trying to knock me up was an anomaly. It's not an anomaly. Baby trapping happens. But she says she thought it was an anomaly. Because what man would intentionally try to make himself a baby's daddy? But I've realized since I dodged that bullet, it ain't even about the damn baby. It's about controlling you and saddling you with a baby that slows you down and lessens your options. That a-hole intended on doing just that. He was poking holes in rubbers or just taking them off during. That goddamn depot shot saved me from him. Please know and understand that this happens. Reproductive abuse happens. Stealthing happens. Like, there should be laws against this. You consented to sex with protection, but some people disregard that. Like, F that. I'm going to still get you pregnant, and then I'm not going to pay child support, and you're going to have to just work hard and figure it out. Dank Dialogue says, isn't it wild how many guys think that way? And then Sarah Zunke says, and then we'll turn around and accuse you of baby trapping him. Listen to Dank Dialogue's response saying, I told an ex that if I hadn't had a miscarriage, I would have had his demon spawn scraped from my womb. He cried awful fiercely for an effing rapist. See, okay, wow. I circled this comment because I wanted to make sure I got to this. This person says, I don't believe in terminations at all, but this I will respect you on all levels. These men think they're smart. Nah, you went out your way to make him feel small. Love it. Always stand your ground. So this person knows that men do these types of things, but still don't believe that women should have the option to terminate. This is the reason why I don't think that why do people believe that their beliefs should order folks' steps? They know that folks are out here baby trapping folks and messing with contraception and condoms and all of that, but they still don't think that women should have the right to make decisions that's best for themselves, even if they thought they were protecting themselves. Mrs. Lala Griffin says, oh my God, I found someone as diabolical as me. I did this 15 years ago when I was a 19-year-old. My boyfriend did get me pregnant. I told him. He did the typical guy thing, denied it, abandoned me, etc. I told him I'll do it without him. He showed up to my job 2 years later with our old group of friends on a Saturday, all young and free, asking, so how's the baby, as I worked the cash register. Me? What baby? Him? Our baby? Me? I guess in the ocean somewhere since I terminated it 2 years ago. He was pissed. He was pissed because he thought that he was going to slow this 19-year-old down, and he was pissed that she actually didn't allow herself to be slowed down. All right, then this person says, the fact that he was upset is unspeakable. And then Blondie at the bottom says, bummism. Spec Mall says, men will trap you with the kids. My ex ghosted me the minute I told him I was pregnant after dating for 3 years. He left instructions that I wasn't allowed to enter his office and apartment building. He blocked me on everything. I fetus deletus. About 7 months later, he saw me at a party drinking and having fun. His whole face turned red. Shouldn't I be heavily pregnant with his child by now? What did I do to his child? Said he's Catholic and doesn't believe in termination, so I shouldn't have gotten one. But do Catholics believe in ghosting their children and being deadbeats? Do Catholics believe in getting married? Premarital sex. Do Catholics believe in that? So, that it's like they get to pick and choose when they want to believe something. It's crazy. And that's what Ashmo said. Well, sure, he isn't a very good Catholic having premarital relations. And that's where I'm going to end that, because I'm sure you all have your own stories. These dudes are out here double-minded, triple-minded. This is the reason why you have to know within yourself what you want to do, because they will sabotage you. They will saddle you with these responsibilities, and then they can abandon their responsibilities and have zero cares in the world. Men can opt in or out of parenthood. You, as the mother, typically cannot. So you need to be extra careful about your womb. Clamp down on that if you have absolutely no urge to be a mother, because these people will fill your wombs up and they will not give a damn about you or that child. Join the conversation, like, comment, share, and warn your daughters, warn your nieces, warn the barista down the street. One of the duties of the wife appliance is to keep up with the admin of the house, to let the husband know when things are, keep his calendar, keep the schedule tight. Well, what happens when the wife appliance is no longer in your household, like y'all break up or she malfunctions? What happens then? Who keeps up with the man's admin? Who keeps up with the man's calendar? Well, those are some of the things that we're going to see in this post. Co-Parenting Chronicle says, the father of my kids asked if the twins start kindergarten tomorrow at nearly 11 p.m. He then asked when touring the school and meet the teacher was. The kids start this morning. The tour was 2 weeks ago. Meet the teacher was last week. And then she shares a screenshot. He says, are they starting blank tomorrow? I guess that's the school name. Are they starting blank tomorrow? When are we supposed to tour it and meet the teachers? And she says, yes, 2 weeks ago and last week. You have access to every email I get, and I have encouraged you to ask about the kids on a weekly basis. I am not your secretary or your Google Calendar. Men need to get some ambition about themselves. They need to do some adulting themselves. They really believe that a woman is their secretary, even a woman that is no longer connected to them like that. The nerve of this guy. Thanks for tagging me in, Gack of all trades. This was definitely a good comment section because now other women are chiming in on how these dudes expect them to be the continued calendar keeper of them even when they're not in a relationship. Peanut Butter Cookie says, every time I see stories like this, I get the same thought. How the F are men leaders when too many of them can't lead themselves? Fortune Energy says they're too busy feeding their ego. I'm so glad that so many different women are saying these dudes are not leaders. They can't even lead themselves. I'm glad that we're acknowledging this because they are not natural born leaders if they can't even lead themselves to the grocery store to pick out the things that they need to buy. If they can't lead themselves to use a washcloth to wash their behind. If they can't lead themselves to pick up the laundry off the floor. They're going to have to show some steps, some progression in this leadership, this leadership ladder to actually prove that they're some leaders. Badger Den Crochet says, my daughter, who's 11, asked me if I was going to let her father know about the tour and meet the teacher. I kindly reminded her that I haven't been his wife in 7 years, and he gets all the same emails I do. I am no longer reminding him how to parent. I also pointed out that her stepdad remembers every date without me telling him. She thought I was reminding him of everything. No, honey, he remembers because he cares. I kept that last thought to myself, though. Kimmy Queen says, oh, you should have said it, but it was good you didn't. The last part. At one point, she needs to hear it, though. More about her future with relationships than an issue with her dad. And then Badger responds with, at this point, it's more of a, I don't need anyone trying to say I'm speaking ill of her father to her. She knows, though, and she's made comments before about how she feels like her stepdad treats her better. She's even stated when she's able, she wants to tell the court she doesn't want to be forced to see her father anymore. For our state, you have to be 12 for them to take it under consideration. And she's been in therapy this last 5 years as well, so she has that on her side. So... these dudes really believe that they are punishing you by treating your children wrong or whatnot. And then they get on social media and she's keeping me away from the kids and blah, blah, blah. The kids know and understand what's going on. The kids are not dumb people. They can see who's treating them well and who's not. Funny Fat Fabulous says, my ex-husband initiated a custody study because he wanted full custody of the kids. I filled out an exhaustive questionnaire, provided evidence of my statements, and returned it to the courts within the required time frame. I participated in a 90-minute Zoom interview with the court mediator. My ex-husband didn't do his part. When he received the mediator's decision, he filed an appeal and we went to court. The judge asked me why I didn't remind him. And then she says the judge was an older woman. And Elsie at the bottom says, what a hoe bag. That just made me laugh so much. She called the judge a hoe bag. That definitely made me laugh. That's why I wrote LOL right there. But yes, it's not the ex-wife's duty to tell the ex-husband to do his job. Absolutely not. And he's trying to take full custody. Why would she make it easier on him? We have a pick-me in the comment section, and this is kind of funny to me. So Fat Mamas says, I don't know, to me this is weird. You couldn't let him know when it was, so now you're mad he's asking when it is and it already happened, and they're starting the next day. I don't know, maybe not bitter, but definitely petty. Yeah, you're not his wife, but basic communication, if you're the custodial parent, is simple. And then Paris says, did you read where he got the same emails as her? What the F? That's a grown man you're talking about. Are you cool? Now, Bayi Kumi says, are you daft or just an illiterate? Fat Mamas corrected her saying it's deaf. And no, a simple text when the email arrived. Did you see the meet the teacher night as blah blah? Isn't that hard? Y'all are the most problematic kids' mothers I see. She says daft. She corrected it and said deaf. How are you going to correct somebody and you're illiterate? Y'all needed to see that because that made me laugh as I read that. Like, how you going to be loud and wrong and a pick me? So Sarah says, daft is a word and you look dumb right now. And then Fat Mamas is not even understanding how dumb she looks. She says, ah, womp womp. Everybody is entitled to an opinion. A simple text takes 2 seconds. Again, say you're problematic without saying it. So she's skipping over the fact that she's illiterate and that daft is a word. This this part makes me laugh so much. I know it's tangential, but it's funny to me. And then Sarah says, listen, I'm just concerned for your vocabulary. Thought you needed to know that was silly. And then Fat Mama says, I have never heard someone say daft in my 32 years of living. So again, womp womp, move along, just showing how problematic you're, babe. You're still going on because I've never heard of a word before. Laughing my butt off, goofy. The thing is, you have a smartphone in your hand. You could just Google it. You have a Google machine right there and you're choosing to be dumb. You don't have to choose to be dumb when you have a smartphone in your hand. You're problematic. You're problematic. Anyways, I want to end that there. That made me chuckle looking at Fat Mamas not knowing that she's dumb. Join the conversation. Let me know what you think. It's funny how these people still believe that they have a secretary, and Fat Mamas thinks that women should remain secretaries. And if you don't, you're problematic and petty. Do you believe that women should stay their secretaries? I'm sure I know how you're going to respond, but go ahead and jump in the comments and respond anyway. Like, comment, and share.
Girl, you have a fat ass, that body's T, that waist is slim. Say I know! You have a fat ass, that body's T, that waist is slim, that face is pretty.